Perfect. Okay, now we're recording. So thank you everybody for being early as we end on time. This is an open Q&A. Every quarter of the year, as real estate agents, we gather, you guys ask your random questions in no particular order, and then I just address them. So the questions that I've got so far is on lead follow-up. One is on BombBomb specifically, and then another person is asking about categorizing and organizing their database. So I'm going to start off with the categorizing and organizing of your database. And I actually have a presentation on that. There we go. So this isn't a long presentation. I'll be able to whip through this. And I'm going to make sure to get you guys all a copy of everything that I talk about. So let me quickly do this part. This is a must for pretty much every real estate agent, the lead follow-up. So I'm going to start off with this piece of paper. You're all going to get a copy of this. This is how I manage my time, by the way. So I'll quickly run through that because it's in the slide. Before I start my day, every day, I will do 45 minutes of what I have to do. It's the non-negotiable. Every day I know I have to send out handwritten thank you notes and or follow up with people or do my follow-up calls. Let me... Sorry, I just had to mute everybody. Okay, so I have to do my follow-up calls for sure. So 45 minutes every day, this is what I work on before I let anybody else distract me with Facebook messages, before I let people distract me with voice messages and text messages. These are the things I know that I have to do, because if you don't do them, then time passes and you don't get them done. Then I'll write out a laundry list of everything that I think I want to do today. So in no logical order, I'll just write it all out. So I call Rico, order up new business cards, book Dan as a speaker, catch up on your email. Like whatever your day looks like today, just write it all out in no logical order and then start numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now you can only do one thing at a time. So whatever the number one thing is on your today's to-do list, over on the left side, you would write that in. And you'll notice that it's not blocked off by 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, 10 to 11. It's not based on time because the only time you have is the present moment anyways. So I use this piece of paper that I want to give you so you can print it off and download it. It's very fluid and flexible. It works not based on dates and times. It works based on your present moment and how much time you have. So for the next 15, 30 minutes, that's the only thing you should be working on, is whatever number one is. Once it's done, maybe the next thing is like 2 hours or whatever. You'll just block off the time and only work on that one particular project. Underneath, you'll see there's a sketch pad so that you can sketch out. Maybe you have to draw up a floor plan that day. Maybe you have to design a new piece of marketing. You want to design up a new for sale sign or something like that. Newspaper ads, whatever, landing page. So that's like every day you've got certain things that you have to kind of sketch up. Maybe you're a prospector and you like to doodle while you prospect, so there's a little area for that. And I also write out, you'll see right here, it says my list tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll write out all the things that I think I have to get done, and it usually consists of a couple of the things that I didn't get to today. And the power of the subconscious, when you go to bed at night, the next day when you wake up, I don't know, to me anyways, life just flows. And so I really think a big piece of that is the magic of putting pen to paper and writing out what you think you have to get done. And it really helps me anyways. And so that's one strategy. So this is a blank piece of paper. The next day I will have another sheet printed and it's a clean slate, brand new day, brand new beginning. And I'll just go through the same exercise where I do my 45-minute kickstart, then write out a list of all the things I have to do, then prioritize all of them and just chip away 1, 2, or 3. And if you only get your top 1 and 2, maybe 3 things done daily, who cares about 4, 5, and 6? Because they're clearly not as important as number 1, 2, or 3. So that's a copy. You guys are going to get a download of that. I'll make sure to email everybody. Anybody watching the video, if you can't find it, just let me know and I'll get you that. So specifically about working a database, I'm going to talk to you right now about capturing the forms and qualifying the people. 3 rules that I use for working any database, and a 90-day referral plan, which leads us into the BombBomb question that you had. So this works out perfectly. So the contact capture form. So most of you know, my business was an internet business for real estate, and I was generating buyer leads and seller leads. I didn't know who any of these people were. It was always a cold call and a cold conversation. And I had to be very structured on my qualifying, and I had to get in and out off the phone as quickly as possible. I could have a solid conversation in about 12 minutes of time, and during that time, I will find out if they're working with an agent, where they want to move to, if they're pre-approved or qualified, when they want to move by, if they have to sell. Like, I can get all that information out of a person in about 12 minutes comfortably and get them set up in our system. You can do it quicker, like 8 minutes, but anyways, if I didn't have this piece of paper, I'd be umming and ahhing and I'd be all over the map. So this was awesome. I mean, that. And so this piece of paper was a blessing in my follow-up life because it kept me on track. So I would have this piece of paper printed. I would have a copy in my briefcase. I would have a copy of it in my laptop bag. I would have a copy of it in my car underneath the seat, in my kitchen cupboard, at the office, and downstairs on top of the Xbox. So no matter where I was, if I had an internet lead, I would pull out this piece of paper and then I would go through it. Just like if you call to order a pizza, they go through a questionnaire asking you all the same questions because they want to be as efficient as possible. It's the same thing for me in real estate. So I pretty much looked like this guy before, where I had random notes written all over the place. So I'm going to show you how I actually use this piece of paper. So let me zoom in. I know you can't actually read it. So on the top right of the piece of paper is where I would put the person's name, their phone number, their email, the source of where it came from. Was it an open house? Was it a referral, newspaper? I just want to know where these people came from. Up at the very, very top, it says ID number. So in this case, I put 112. Well, the very first person I called was ID number 1. The second person, ID number 2. And the theory behind that is because I put them in order in a binder, page 1, page 2, page 3. Underneath this is where I write my messy notes because everybody's variable and everybody has a different story. So I want to find out, like, they're having a baby, they're moving from a certain area to our area. These are the MLS numbers they're interested at. Like, this is kind of like my messy scratch pad. And then down below is when I get into the buying questions. And so when I'm on a phone with a person, I'd be like, hey, Joey Buyer, I just want to talk to you quickly about buying a home. Now, if you were to move, where would you move to? Oshawa, Whitby, Pickering, Ajax. And I put the words in their mouth. That forces the person to correct me. So if you put the words in their mouth and make them correct you, then it makes it easier for them to respond. But if you just say, where would you move to? They might say downtown, or they might say northeast, or they might say a specific neighborhood. And it's a lot of thought process. So put the words in their mouth to make them correct you. So in this example, I have it already written out. I'm going to give you this as a Word document so that you can edit it. But anyways, I would write out the cities or areas that you work. When you get the template, it's going to say east, west, north, south, all of city. But for me, when I actually used it, it said Oshawa, Whitby, Pickering, Ajax, Brooklyn, Bowmanville, all of Durham region. That way, when I'm on the phone with a person, I can just check off the area that they're looking. So they're looking for all of Durham. They want a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, a townhouse under 450, and they need a garage, blah, blah, blah. So when I'm on a phone with a person, say you work in a city that has a big name, whatever, I'll say Mississauga, for example. That's like half the alphabet is in that one word. So by the time you write out that word on the piece of paper, that's a long period of time. And you're not actually even listening to the people anymore because you're writing out the word. So with this, it's like tick, 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 tick. So I'm quickly and easily being able to get the information as far as where they want to buy. And then I'll repeat what they want to buy just to reiterate that I was listening and that I have the right information. So I'd say, okay, Joey, buyers, you want a all of Durham region, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouse under 450. You need a garage and then instantly I start qualifying them. So I'll say, if you were to move, when would you like to move by? Spring, summer, fall, and I put the words in their mouth. Let them correct me. And then I'll repeat what they said. So if they said, oh, we want to move by the spring, then I would say, if you want to move by the spring, when would it make sense to get in the car and start looking? So I'm just like digging a little deeper. They generalize and say spring, summer, fall. But if I could actually find out when they want to hop into a car and start looking, these are the types of questions that I need to know. When that time comes, do you have a realtor that you'll be working with? So if you just ask a person, are you working with an agent? Instantly in their mind, they're thinking like, what's in it for you? However, when I ask them, if you want to move by spring, when would it make sense to get in the car and start looking? They'll tell me, well, when that time comes, do you have a realtor you're working with? It's very conversational. They're not thinking of you're just asking for what's in it for you. It's just a part of the conversation. So it's very flowing. You also have to find out, do you already own a home? Yes or no? Do you need to sell? Yes or no? If they're renting, when is the lease up? Have you talked to a lender about financing? So these are all really, really important questions that you can just circle and tick off. Now, if they do have a home that they need to sell, I have a selling box. And the very first question when they're selling, I'd say, oh, that's great. So was it listed on the MLS? If they say yes, it was on the MLS, then you already know how many bedrooms, bathrooms, you know all that information. You know how much they paid for it because you can easily look it up after the phone call. So if they say no, then I know I'm going to have to go a little deeper and ask those questions. But if they say yes, I can avoid those questions. And if they did say yes, I can simply say, since you purchased the property, have you done anything to increase the value or decrease the value? Pause and let them answer. An important question would be, what price are you thinking? So we should probably just write in there $1 million because that's what everybody thinks their home is worth. And then I can fill in the blanks. Well, tell me about your house. Is it a detached? Is it a condo? 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, garage, basement, new roof, windows. This is the variable information and the address. So it's very fluid, this piece of paper. Now, at the very bottom of this piece of paper, I have a contact log, and that would be the date of when I called them, the action of what I have to do next, and any notes on the conversation. I would actually flip this piece of paper over and use the back sheet as well, because I would have ongoing communications. This was the fail-proof way of not dropping somebody in the crack, because a lot of people use a database, and I'm not saying not to. I'm actually going to move into the next section is going to tell you to use a database. But if you're not using anything, this paper system is amazing. What I would do is I would put the piece of paper in a binder. So page 1, page 2, page 3, based on that ID number. On the left side, I'm going to give you this as a calendar. Let me zoom in. On the left side is a blank calendar, January, February, March, April, May, June. So on this piece of paper on the right, you can see it's ID number 30. Well, based on the conversation of this person, my gut instinct was telling me that I should probably follow up with him or her on April 3rd. So on the third box of April, I would write in page number 30. And then as time goes on, I'm filling in all these boxes. Whoops, let me go back. I'm filling in all of these boxes. So at the beginning of April, for example, I would see, oh, I have to call page 30, page 41, page 72, and page 4. I would call all those people, put them all back in order in the binder, but then I would move their number forward. So say I call number 30 on the 3rd of April, and then I discover that they want to hop in the car in 2 weeks. Well, I would just move this down to like the beginning of that week and then write in page number 30. So I'm constantly pushing the dates forward. You're all going to get this as a copy so that you can have that. Now, whether you use a database or not, you still have to get all that information. You have to qualify the people, you have to get their information. 90% of the time, you're not in your database when you're actually calling these leads. So that's why I still suggest you use this piece of paper, even if you do use a database. Now, when say I use a database, I would fill in this piece of paper, and then I would take a picture of the piece of paper and email it to my admin. And my admin would then add them to the CRM, launch the drip plan, set them up on the buyer alert, do the CMA if they're selling, that sort of thing. So we actually got it to a point where at the bottom of our template, we had all of our follow-up plans and all of our tags, and I would check off what plan they should be under and what category they should be in. So that was because I wasn't actually setting the people up in my own database. If you're doing it, obviously you'll know, but it was a really, really efficient way. So even if you use a database, I'm telling you, having this piece of paper, just have them all over in your car, at the office, at your home. That way, when you get a phone call, I mean, you're always looking for a piece of paper to write it on. You might as well have a clean sheet of paper, and you'll see all the glaring holes of the questions that you haven't asked yet in the future. Now, to address your question about the database, I'm going to give you my 3 rules that work for all databases. Now, I heard somebody mention Top Producer. I heard somebody say iExact. Somebody said BombBomb. So you're all using different databases. A lot of your companies provide you with a database. A lot of your websites have a database built in the back end. These 3 rules work for all. This is what most databases look like, by the way. Just a big mess. You don't know who half the people are. You haven't contacted them. You're missing most of the information. You get to a point where you just start a new database every 3 to 5 years. So I'm going to show you how not to do that. So my 3 rules. Rule number 1 is always have a next call date. If a person is important enough to be in your database, they're important enough to have a next call date. If they don't have a next call date, 6 months, a year, 3 years goes by real quick, and you haven't contacted these people. At least once a year, you should be calling your database by voice. At least your core database, like your past clients, for sure need to hear your voice at least once a year. Rule number 2 is that you have to have them broken down into different groups, lists, buckets, or tags. Depending on the database you're using, they use different terms, but it's all pretty much the same thing. And I'll share with you what my tags are. And then simplifying your notes. If you don't have good notes on people, you won't pick up the phone and call them because you don't remember who they are and you just feel embarrassed. So rule number 1 is having a next call date. When I add a person to my database, after I've added a person to whatever your database is, you always have the ability to add a task. You have to. Like, it's not a database if you can't add a task. So on my task, I always just call it next call date. So say I get a buyer lead. I call the guy. He answers the phone. He's at the gas station pumping gas. It's not a good time for me to talk to him. However, he did sound like a guy that I'd want to work with, and we had a pretty positive conversation, even though it was quick. So I'd be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to save this guy. I'm going to call him on Saturday. So I'll save that for Saturday and hit save. When Saturday rolls around, my database is going to pull all the people that I have to call that day. So I call this guy back, get him on the phone. He actually has time to talk. I pull out my piece of paper and I go through all the scripting questions. I get to the point that says, when do you want to hop in the car? And he says, yeah, that's cool. We want to go in like 3 weeks. All right, so you want to go in 3 weeks. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to call him at the beginning. I'll call him on the 19th, hypothetically. Save that. Now, on the 19th, when I call this guy, he's like, oh, man, yeah, that's great. But I didn't know that you can't buy a home when you're in foreclosure. Oh, shoot. Yeah, that sucks. Okay, so I'm going to hit forward, and I'm going to save this next call date for January of next year because he's not ready this year, right? So I'm going to, it's really cool when you do it this way because on the January 1st of every year, if you think about all the people that you talk to this year who have interest in moving but aren't ready, what do you do with them? Just save them all for January 1st as a follow-up call. And then the beginning of next year, you're going to hit the ground running because you've got 60, 80, 100, 300 people that you can follow up with that you know all had an interest in moving, but the time wasn't right for them last year. This gives you the biggest head start at the beginning of every year. So I would save him to January 1st. Now you'll notice that I never marked it off as a done deal. So when this conversation is done, I don't just check it off and say done. I just keep changing the next call date. If there's no reason for me to contact this person, then I'll be like, okay, I'll touch base in a year. They have to at least hear my voice every year. So it's a never a done deal. If they're in my database, they have an active next call date. Rule number 2 is how you categorize your groups. The reason why my lesson on this was I had everybody in my database just as a database. It was just names, phone numbers, emails. So when I sent a mass email out to everybody, it went to everybody. And I did a mass email about a power of sale tour or like a foreclosure tour that we had. And my mom answered back. She's like, why would I want to go to this? She wasn't being rude, but it was true. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to identify my database and say, these are the buyers, these are the sellers, these are the investors, these are the agents. So you have to categorize your database. So there's really only 3 that you need to know about. One is your sphere of influence. So those are your friends, your family, and your past clients. You also have buyer leads and you have seller leads. Those are the only 3 groups, buckets, or tags that you need. Because I used to have like hot buyers and cold buyers and medium buyers, and like it was a nightmare. They were never in the right category, and they were always changing. Their temperature regulation of how hot of a buyer or cold of a buyer they were was always changing. So my database was always out of whack. So I simplified it, and I'm like, look, they are either a buyer and or a seller. And ultimately, my goal is to get them out of that category and put them into my sphere of influence. So they're either a buyer, seller, or my sphere of influence. Now, you can go a little deeper. I did have investors, and because I had investors, I also had a database of tenants. I did a lot of public speaking to get referrals from agents at other offices. So I had a database full of agents, that sort of thing. I even had one labeled as delete. The people that I put under the category delete were the crazy nut jobs that I did not ever want to deal with again, but I didn't want to just delete them out of my system because I had to know why are they so bad for me to be around. Like, so I would have my notes on that person as to like, why should I stay away? And anybody who had the delete tag never got any future marketing. But I didn't want to delete them out of my system because I didn't want to recapture them in the future. So those are my simple tags. You really only need the 3. If you have a coach or your team or your company is telling you to do something else, do what works for you guys collectively as a group. I can see some questions rolling in. I'm going to address the questions at the end of this little slide. So rule number 2, this is an example of rule number 2, is my sphere of influence. So you can say you want to do a client appreciation event. You wouldn't want, well, actually your client appreciation event, you probably would want to mail to everybody. But say you had something else, direct to mail, for example. So that's a good one for seller leads. So if you have a seller lead in your database, obviously you have their address. How can they be a seller lead and you not have their address? So I could easily pull off all my sellers, and then I could easily create a direct mail campaign. And at every spring market, I could send a direct mail campaign to everybody talking about house values. Now, if I didn't have my database categorized, it would just be an administrative nightmare. So by you categorizing your people, it makes things like mass email, mass mail, events and seminars that you want to do, just everything is so much easier when you have your database broken into smaller groups. Rule number 3 is simplifying your notes. No matter what database you use, they have a note section. Now, the problem with these note sections is when you add a note, it's like a timestamp. So you'll add a note and it goes down below. If you add a second note, it pushes that other one down, and it kind of looks like a Facebook news feed with all these different windows, and you got to open them up and read them. What I did was I simplified it and I said, we only ever need one note. This is the note that I would make on a person. I would copy and paste that into it, and over the course of time, I would fill in the blanks. So I would copy and paste this. It was just a Word document. and I would copy and paste it into the note, and then over time I would fill in the blanks. So if rule number 1 is that the person always has a next call date, you must have a reason as to why and when. So because of that, I'm reminding myself, oh, the next call date for this guy is he's gone to Cuba and he's back in 2 weeks. Well, in 2 weeks, when I call him and we connect and I find out that he's like in foreclosure and he can't buy till next year or something like that, then I would make a note and say, found out he was in foreclosure when he was on holidays and touch base in January. So then I'm reminding myself of why that next call date was booked. So when I changed the next call date, I also changed the note as to why. They're always being changed. They're never a done deal. So that alone is all most of you really need to be keeping up on people. First contact is where I met the person. Was it an open house? Was it a referral? Was it a sign call? Was it an internet lead? Qualifying questions, when they want to move by. Cell phone request. When I'm done on the phone with a person, I'll be like, hey, Joey, that was a great conversation. Now, when we hang up, this phone number I called you at, was it your cell phone? And 90% of the time they say, yeah. I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm going to text you my contact information. That way, if you see any listings I didn't email you, you got any questions, you want to book a showing or whatever, you can easily just text me. How's that sound? Cool. That's what most people would be like. So in my own phone, I save me as a contact. And when you have a contact saved in your phone, there's an option that says share contact. So I can easily forward that contact. Because if I just type out and like send him or her a text message with my name, my phone number, and email, do you think they're going to copy and paste and create a contact? No way. So I create the contact in my own phone and then I share it. And it's got everything done. It's got my office address, it's got the fax number, it's got my phone number, it's got the toll-free number, it's got all my social media links, it's got my website, it's even got my profile picture so that when I call, they can see it's me calling. And so when I ask, is this your cell phone? It's either a yes or no question. And if it's a yes, then I'm going to send them my contact info. If it's a no, I'll ask them what their cell number is and I'll still send it to them. But the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to get saved in their database. They don't have a database, the consumers, most of them. Their cell phone is their database. It's like their Rolodex. So I want to easily be in that. Down below, see how all these lines are jetted over, like dot, 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 house values, dot, 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 banks at. So while the phone is ringing, let me pull up a bunch. While the phone is ringing, my eyes can scan down and read all this blue. And by the time they answer the phone, I'm totally caught up on who they are, where we last left off. I don't have to read the questions. I just have to read the answers. Oh yeah, it's got a $500,000 condo. Oh yeah, we sold 123 Street for $300,000. Oh yeah, he likes to run. So like, I'm not trying to answer all these questions on my first, second, and third phone call. This is just over the course of our relationship as a business. I have to fill in these blanks. Notes. So this is the variable of like they're having a baby, they're expecting in the summer, they want to buy a home under 700,000, blah, blah, blah. So I would fill in all the notes of like the variable notes there. And what's cool is over time, you can see the glaring holes like, oh, shoot, I haven't asked if he's working with an agent or if they're financed or if they need to sell or whatever. So you can see the glaring opportunities for what your next phone call is. So when I pull up a contact and it says next call and I got nothing to talk about, I can just go down this list and be like, oh, yeah, I don't know what he does for a living. So I can just call him up. Hey, Joey, talking about real estate, but what do you do for a living? I don't even know. What are you up to? Oh, yeah, you got kids? And so I can fill in the blanks. So it makes it very conversational. Okay, now I'm going to give you guys an older game plan. This is a 90-day game plan that works with BombBomb. And so first of all, I'll open up BombBomb, and then I'm just going to email you this game plan. I'm not going to go over it right now, because I'm actually creating a brand new game plan for you guys, but it's going to take you through the course of 90 days, how to clean up your database and reconnect with everybody. So I'm going to give you guys that as a download. Let me read some of these questions that we got. Top 50, top 100. I'm assuming, Jeff, that was in regards to the categorizing of people. So when I said buyers, sellers, and sphere of influence, if that's what you mean, yes. Then, yeah, you could have that, the top 50, top 100 for sure. Those are the people that you would do like Brian Buffini pop buys with. Those are the people that you would invite out to your client parties, that sort of thing. Yep. I'd never had it broken down into the top 500, or sorry, top 50 or top 100. I just had my sphere of influence, and I did everything en masse. We would do like a day at the movies, and we would rent out the whole theater, and it'd be like 300 people or something like that. So I would just do everything en masse. But you could break it down to your smaller top people and treat them with royalty. I'm just reading some of these questions. I should be reading them out loud. None of them are relating to this, though. Do you still have a webinar set up to Facebook business page? Yeah, there is a webinar. I have a webinar that shows you step-by-step how to set up a business page. Message me and I'll get that to you. Also, you have a webinar setting up digital business card for your email signature. No, I don't. But here, let me show you my email signature since we're at that. Okay, so I'm going to hit compose. So you'll see my signature right here. It's got my profile picture. You could have your company logo or whatever. You should definitely be having links down below. So all mine is about like my coaching and stuff like that. But I would definitely have a buying one. Buyer, seller. So let me type one up quickly. So this is basically what I had for my email signature. I said buyers, and I would make it bolder and bigger. Bolder. And I think I made it like orange because it stood out. And I would link them. So all of you have a real estate website. On your real estate website is a page that talks about buying a home, getting homes that match their criteria, that sort of thing. So you would link them directly to whatever that page is. So I just made a dummy link. It says buyerpage.com, but yours would say www.yourwebsite.com/ whatever the actual page is. Okay. And then for sellers, I would do the same thing. Thinking of selling. Now, how you do your email signature, whether you use Google, whether you use like, I don't know what you use for your email, all of you are different. So you'll have to find out how to change your email signature. But basically, this is what I would have. Let me cut that. My profile picture, I'd say Dan Wood sales rep. Of ABC Realty. Something like that. I mean, aesthetically, you're going to make it fit your flavor of how you like things. But see how the orange, Okay, it's proven with internet marketing, if you have a landing page or a banner or a button, orange outperforms most of the other colors. I don't know why. So it's just proven that it's true. It's not proven as to why. So I'll have a orange, and it'll be like orange buyer, orange seller, and then I'll link them to the call to action and then to my landing page about that call to action. So that's my basic email signature that I used in the past. If you want to get a mass email that goes out to everybody, this is the magic one that worked for us at the beginning of every year. Name. That's it. At the beginning of every year, I would take my database and I would pull up all the buyer contacts in that database, and I would send a mass email that says this. And whatever database you use, ask about mail merging. That's when it will take the contact's name and put it into the email that you send out. So say I send it out to 100 people. Amy is one of them. When Amy gets it, it will actually say Amy. But when Steve gets it, it shows as Steve. But I didn't have to send 100 individual emails. I sent one email and it mail merged their name. So depending how you mail merge, you're going to have to ask your database how to do that. But this is the magic one-liner. It says, name, are you still thinking of moving? Shake the tree and see what falls. If you send that out to 100 buyer leads that you've got, you not think like 6 of them are going to answer back and be like, yeah, we're looking. So that's like, if you haven't done a mass email in a while, I would definitely start with that. The spring market for us, as we're recording this video, is obviously here. So maybe you want to change that up and say, do you know anyone thinking of selling? So that's a basic seller one that we would send out. It's a one-liner. And we're passing the onus off of them, of us always asking them if they want to move. We're asking them to just point us in the right direction. So name, do you know anyone thinking of selling? We're updating the local house value reports, and it won't cost them anything. You might know some friends. Whatever, you can change the verbiage to how you would say it, but that's the basic one line, one sentence that we would send out to people. Cool, awesome idea. All right, so that answered that. Okay, so now going down the list, the next bit was about BombBomb. So let me show you. BrokersNation.com/BombBomb. I'm going to, I'll message you guys all this link right now. So while that's loading, I don't know why it's taking so long. This page that I'm trying to pull up for you, it takes you through a whole 90-day challenge on how to use BombBomb. So what is BombBomb? BombBomb is a tool that allows you to easily create and send video from your phone. Let me scroll down here. So BombBomb is really, really good at helping you with your lead follow-up. Most of the time when you get an internet lead, you'll call that person and they don't answer the phone. It's just the world that we live in. So with BombBomb, I could easily, on my phone, create a video unique to that person. I could be like, hey, Joey, it's Danny Wood at ABC Realty. I wanted to say thank you so much because you took the time to fill in a form looking at real estate for sale here in and I would say the name of the city. And sorry, I just noticed a question come through. So I would make a little video for them and then send it to them. And they can watch the video. And BombBomb shows you if they watch the video, if they don't watch the video, directly from my phone. I can text it to them directly from my phone. I can send it to them as an email. It is just the easiest way for you to create and send video on the go. So this page, I'll resend the link to you. Hold on. Okay, I just sent everybody the link there. So this is a 90-day challenge. When you scroll down, you can register, and you can register for free to download the plan. If you don't have a BombBomb account, you can click on this Vince Vaughn photo, create an account. You can invite your friends to the challenge, and even offices. I can set it up as an office challenge if you guys want that as well. So let me know about that. And so I got some videos that share with you how I use BombBomb and the scripts that I use, and it is amazing. It's probably my top 3 tools. I would not do business without BombBomb. I would not do business without my database. And to be honest, I don't even know what the third tool is. There's a bunch of them, but okay, top 2. BombBomb and my database are my top 2 business tools for especially helping me with lead follow-up and lead conversion. Video is where it's at today. A couple weeks ago, I showed you guys how to do Facebook Live video step by step. I have a session specifically done showing you how to do BombBomb as well. So I don't want to take up this time to recreate that video because we've already done it in the past. I'll just have to link it to you. But if you're looking at BombBomb, definitely take a look at this. It is the easiest way. It even works directly in your Gmail. So right in your email, you can see how I have this BombBomb icon. I can actually record a BombBomb video directly in my email that I'm sending people. So you can create one-off videos, like unique to that person, or you can create a template that you can use over and over and over. So you can create a generic buyer video, you can create a generic seller video, you can create buyer close video, seller close video, open house reminder. Hey, there's a reminder, just letting you know we got an open house and you can't be home. Leave on all the lights, like whatever you can, whatever your rules are. So you can have all these videos done. That way you don't have to recreate them. You can just use them over and over. And it also creates a drip plan if you wanted. So you could be like, all my buyers go on this drip and send them this video. 3 days later, send them another video. 7 days later, another video. 2 weeks, a month. So you can create your own timeline with your own video. I think a good timeline, there's a ton of good options for timelines, but like buyer close is an amazing one because that's the biggest complaint that you guys have and we have as an industry is that once the deal is done, they never hear back from you except for your yearly calendar. So if you set somebody up on a buyer close or a seller close, you could send them reminders of like in the winter, turn off the outside hose. In the fall, you got to clean the gutters, like whatever. So there's all these different timelines of things that you could send people. The best drip, hands down, the only one you actually need is a reminder of when their home closes. So, hey, Marianne, it's Danny Wood here. Just letting you know your home is closing. Your home anniversary is next month. Just reply back if you need any information for insurance, refinancing, mortgaging, whatever. So I could make a video that talks about those 3 things. And that is the best drip. I could have that go a month before their home anniversary every year for the next 4 years, for example. And that is hands down the best drip that you can put a person on. It's not monthly. It's not crap that they don't want. It's actual relevant information to them. Because me personally, I have a couple homes. I rent them out. And so obviously I don't live in them. And they sent the mortgage renewal information to the rental property, and I didn't see it, and I almost missed the mortgage renewal, and that would have been a big whoops. So had I set myself up on this plan, I would have been like, oh yeah, I gotta like talk to my company about that. So it was really, really cool. BombBomb is amazing. Somebody says they like to use the PC version of Outlook. I love BombBomb, but I hate using the webmail version of email. Yeah, I use BombBomb mostly from my phone on the go and directly through Gmail. Is how I do it. There's like a million ways to use the program. You can use it directly through the browser, directly through the app on your phone. It even integrates with certain programs like Top Producer. It integrates with. You can send it directly through Top Producer. You can send it through a lot of different things. Cool. Okay, so that answered that. Let's see what else we got. Categorize, that answered all that. Cool. Okay, got it. I had somebody message about Facebook. Questions. Should I use Facebook Post or Ads Manager? And what about using both at the same time? Good question. All right, let me go here. Let me go to Facebook. Warning, I do not control Facebook, so I do not know what's about to load. Now, while that's loading, the answer is all of the ads that you run should be done through the Facebook Ad Manager, never boosting a post. I mean, I know one person that boosting the post works for, and you could be that second person. But generally speaking, 90% of everybody listening to this should not hit the boost post button. They should just go to the Facebook Ad Manager. And how you get to the Facebook Ad Manager, it's this, facebook.com/ADS. I'm going to copy and send you guys that link. That is the Facebook Ad Manager page. So when, man, I don't know why this is not loading. Hopefully Facebook loads for you guys. So yeah, you definitely want to, you can post your content on the business page, and then you can go to the Facebook Ad Manager, the link that I just shared with you, and then you can boost it that way. It's the same terminology, boosting it, but you have more filtering, so you'll retain more of your money. Because if you just hit boost post, I mean, that could be going to 18-year-olds who like Pokemon or something. Whereas with the Facebook Ad Manager, you can specifically target real estate investors for your duplex, or you could specifically target people who are likely to move, or not real estate agents. You can exclude people as well. So you can be like, I don't want all the agents to see my ad, so you can exclude them. And you do that through the link that I just shared, facebook.com/ad manager. That's not loading. So let me move on to the next question. Question number 2 for a Facebook ad. Is it better to use click here for details and send them to a landing page, or message me for details? Okay, easy answer, message me for details. So the reason for that, and it's a cheaper cost. So in Facebook advertising, you can, one of the options is traffic. The other option is messenger ads. So that's what the question is, which is better? Sending them to a landing page or messenger ads? It's a case-by-case scenario, but I'd say 80% of the time, the messenger ad is going to get you better response. And the reason for that is because if you do clicks to your website, you're going to have to design a landing page. You're going to have a video. You're going to have all this text. It also creates multiple steps. That consumer had to click on the ad, then they had to click on the button to go to your landing page. Then they had to read the content, fill in their information, and register. It's a lot of extra hoops. Whereas with the Facebook Messenger ad, you can just say, message us to download a copy, or message us for all photos, or message us for whatever your call to action is. And it enables the consumer to easily ask you a question without giving you name, phone number, and email. But now what's happened? a conversation was started. So based on that conversation, you should be able to pull out their name, phone number, and email fluidly. The other thing is, if you send people from Facebook to a landing page, you're driving traffic away from Facebook. So there's a higher cost in that. But if you keep them on Facebook, guess what? While they're looking at your ad, they're seeing other ads too. So Facebook is making more money. So if you can keep people on Facebook, you'll have a lower overall cost. So then you question after that, can I create a post, open Ad Manager and boost it? You can. Will the post show in Ads Manager or do I have to create it again? No. You can, man, I wish Facebook would load. Boom, we got Facebook. Okay, cool. So let me show you. Okay, let me close these. On the top right, you'll see a drop-down arrow. I got excited for a minute there. Oh, please work. All right, you know what? Because I like your question so much, our next group coaching call is going to be based on this specifically. So I'm going to show you guys how to post content on your business page, and then I'm going to show you the different ways of boosting it. So I'll do that on our next call, and that's what it'll be based on. And I'll get it recorded as well, step by step, so you can do it. But no, you do not have to recreate it. Once you've got the boost, once you've got the post, then you could leverage it. But to be honest, a lot of the time, I don't even leverage the post on my business page. I just create an ad directly in the Ad Manager. Is the way I do it. But you can leverage the content that you posted. So we'll go through a couple different ways on our next call. But that's a really good question. And you just told me what my next topic is. Thank you. Somebody says, I recently shared one of my listings through our MLS to my business page and then tried to boost it, but Facebook rejected it. Is Facebook becoming more sensitive to extra links? How does a person go around getting rejected? I don't know. Yeah, that's a can of worms. Who knows why they rejected you? It could be Facebook doesn't like you talking about housing because they feel people can be discriminatory about it. So you may have not signed off that you're not being racist. There's a button that you have to confirm that basically says that you're not going to be racist. And so anyways, that could be the reason. You could have too much text is another reason, but that normally doesn't reject it. It normally just costs you more. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different reasons of it. The cleanest would be just to go directly to facebook.com/ads, create an ad in there, and before you even run the ad, it'll basically show you if it's approved or not. And then if it doesn't, you'll get notified on why it wasn't approved, and you could modify it. So that's one way of getting around it, is just don't go to the business page and post it and then advertise it. Just go to facebook.com/ads. Gotta go. Thanks, Jeff. Okay. Good questions, good questions. I want to scroll up. Can I practice doing a FB live event before I actually go live? You totally can. Let me hit Facebook Live. I don't know if it's going to work. My internet. I don't have a reason for my internet right now. Yesterday I had to cancel 3 of my coaching calls because the internet, there's a storm rolling through. That's my reasoning. No, not going to work. Yes, our last session, actually our last session was on health. The session before that was on Facebook Live, and I showed you step-by-step how to do it from your phone and step-by-step how to do it from a computer, and how you can practice it so that nobody sees, which is really important. So you totally can practice doing a Facebook Live. Oh, actually, I can show you. Hold on. I've got it right here. I'm just going to skip to the actual slide that answers that question for you. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so this is me doing it from a phone, and you'll see underneath it has a little option. It says only me. So only I am seeing that at the moment. If I change that to public, then everybody in the public would see it. Going forward, you'll see that it's live, and then at the end of the live video, let me skip. At the end of the live video, you could say only you, but you have to make sure it's that way both times, at the beginning and at the end. And then you could just delete it if you didn't like it. So that's how you practice from a phone. And then from a computer, it's the same thing. So this is me doing it from my computer. And you can have where you want it, and you can say only you. And that's how you could do a little test. Could you film the whole live only me? And post it to Facebook and change it later. Yeah, I don't do it as a test, but I don't see why you can't, because you can change settings on posts after they're posted. So I don't see why you couldn't do it. The power of why you want to do live, by the way, is because people are watching it live, and the whole time your friends and family are on Facebook, they're getting notified that your video is now live. So you just get more traction for sure. So I wouldn't do a Facebook Live and then upload it later. I would just straight up do Facebook Live. But if you want to practice a couple times, that's how. Cool, that answered that question. Right on. All right, so I'll stick. If there's any other questions, we're 1 minute to go. And thanks for picking my next topic. Our next topic is going to be posting on your business page versus Facebook ads. And we're going to do a combination of both. Thanks, everyone. Okay, I'll stick for questions for a little bit longer, and let me know if you got any. I'll wait. No? Okay. I am going to, I'll type out my cell number or my email, coaching@danwood.ca. So if you're typing a message and I hang up on you, just email me your message and I'll be following up. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, if you want to close more real estate transactions, get more buyer leads, and get more seller leads, click this button right here. It'll take you to our real estate group coaching page. Also, if you like this video and want more, you can subscribe by pressing this, or you can check out some of my past videos here. Enjoy!